Hello world, this is Ina. Welcome to the podcast, episode 6. This is a perfect and a natural next step after doing the challenge from the last 5 episodes because I really left a cliffhanger there in one of the episodes last week. When I was talking to you about interviewing your audience and about doing your market research, I stopped short at just telling you to speak to one person to define your audience very specifically, but I didn't actually tell you how do you do market research when you don't know a lot of people, when you're starting out, when you don't really have an audience. How is that done? So I kind of hinted at it in one of the episodes last week, but I wanted to just spend a full episode just telling you how to get that done when you don't have an audience yet, all right? But first, let's take care of some administrativals, all right? Number 1, you can get the video version of this podcast by going to inacoveney.com/CT6. CT stands for Corporate Trailblazers. 6 is the number of the episode. /CT6. You can get this. And also, another thing I wanted to get out of the way before we start to get into the real beef, into the real meat of this episode, is that we just wrapped up this challenge, the past 5 episodes. If you actually did it, if you actually went through those steps, more power to you. I am so happy that you did. I am so happy that you took this step and you decided to show up for yourself and really get this done. Bravo. I can't say enough good things about people who actually take this kind of step. You've already done something that is very, very hard to do and that a lot of companies, a lot of products, a lot of people don't do, which is to validate your idea, to at least get one person to say, yes, I like what you're talking about and this is my nuance about it. So the more and more people you talk to, the more nuance is going to be and the more you're going to learn about your product. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to also tell you that at the end of the challenge, I told you that my cart opened for a course that I am offering. This course is called WP for Complete Beginners. WP stands for WordPress, and I will teach you exactly what the experts do to make their websites look professional. Because the truth of the matter is that when somebody's looking at your website, they are judging it immediately and they're comparing it to all the others. So people who have spent tens of thousands of dollars on their website, they have an advantage in that they have a design team and they know exactly how to put things on the page. I want to teach you that so that you are not competing with people who have tens of thousands of dollars to spend. You can do it for much, much cheaper and you can do it yourself. So for all the people like me who are control freaks, who want to get their stuff done the right way, who don't want to be going back and forth with a designer, who don't want to pay somebody so much money in the end to just settle for what the final result was, for you who wants to get it done right and get it done exactly to match your vision, you can do it. And I'm going to teach you all the tools to do that. So this is not just a WordPress course. I don't just teach WordPress. If you just want to learn WordPress, you can do that yourself by going on YouTube. Just go ahead and do that. But if you want an expert like me, I've been making these kind of websites for a while. If you want somebody to tell you exactly what to put on the page and how and where and how to use your online presence to make you look high-end, to make you really look like the value that you have in your service, then this course is for you. So what I wanted to do is make you a little deal. If you liked the last 5 episodes, I want you to go out and write a review on iTunes, all right? And what's in it for you? Once you write me a review on iTunes, I want you to come to the Facebook page of the podcast, and you can get to it by going to inacoveney.com/podcast-FB. That's -FB. Once you get there, you post your review and immediately I will send you a private message saying thank you and giving you a promo code for my course so that the early bird price will apply to you forever. You will always be able to take advantage of the early bird price as long as the cart hasn't closed. The early bird actually ended yesterday. So if you're listening to this on the same day that this is getting published, the early bird is already over. But the cart closes in a couple of days. You don't want to miss it. So all you do is take your promo code and go to inacoveney.com/WP course and use your promo code to get yourself the early bird by the time the cart closes. I think that's an awesome deal. I think that's a really sweet deal that not everybody's going to get. Only people who are listening to the podcast are going to get. So go and get that. So step 1, write me a review on iTunes. If you don't have iTunes because you don't have an iPhone, all you have to do is download iTunes on your computer and do it, or borrow your mom's phone or your friend's phone, somebody's phone. Borrow it, give me a review, take a screenshot. Then number 2, go to the Facebook page for the podcast at inacoveney.com/podcast-FB, FB for Facebook. And step 3, you will get your promo code as a personal message from me on Facebook. Sweet deal, right? On with the show. Last week, I talked to you about identifying your target audience, and we never actually talked about everything that goes into market research. We talked about talking to one person, which is a great start, and you probably get some mind-blowing insight out of it. But the real market research has multiple steps, right? You're researching what your competitors are doing. You're researching what other offerings are out there. What is your target audience really buying? And would they buy that kind of product, right? So there's a lot more facets to market research than just what we covered last week. What I wanted to cover with you today is, how do you do market research on your audience when you don't have an audience? You're starting out. You have your mom and your cousins on your mailing list. You do not have enough of an audience to ask them anything. Here's how you take advantage of thousands of people who are already self-identified audience members of something that you are targeting, all right? And a subset of that will be your ideal customer. So this is what you do. I'm going to tell you 2 ways of doing this, and within each way, there's a couple of different things that you can do. Way number 1 is, I want you to go out and join Facebook groups that have thousands of members, and I'm talking tens of thousands of members who might be talking about something that you are selling. All right. So in my case, I am a member of several entrepreneurship Facebook groups because I want to know what other entrepreneurs need in terms of their website, in terms of their online presence. I want to know what their struggle is. What are they talking about? So when I join these groups, I can actually read what questions people have. So there's a couple of ways to use these groups for market research that don't look annoying or like you're poaching customers from those groups, because that is really an uncool thing to do. When you join these groups, you have to respect all the group rules. This is very important because one day you will be creating a Facebook group and you will want to make sure that everybody's following your rules, that people are not marketing themselves, that people are not putting out there messages saying, hey, join my Facebook group instead. You would definitely not appreciate that. So I want to preface this by saying everything I'm going to cover with you today is okay to do in these groups. In fact, they encourage it because they want interaction, they want engagement, they want people to discuss different topics. So what I'm going to cover with you has nothing to do with poaching people, has nothing to do with breaking a group's rules, which you're not going to do, and has nothing to do with self-promotion on the group. All right? So what you do with these Facebook groups, you can do 2 things. Number 1, you can go there and post a message that is irresistible to your target audience. All right, it could be a question. Most of these are usually questions, actually, because people like to give their feedback, to give their take, and that's why they join these groups, to be able to help. So if you have a question that you can ask, you would ask it there. And it would have to be topic specific, topic relevant. It'd have to be group relevant, right? Something that will entice some conversation. And for this, actually, because it's really not that easy to come up with this type of post that doesn't sound like you're selling your services, it's really, really hard to do. Find something that is engaging. What I did was I created a document that has 20 different conversation starters. All right, I divided them by industry, I divided them by style. So what I want you to do is look at those questions and look at those conversation starters and apply them to your topic, apply them to what is it that you want to find out from the audience, and post them on these groups and watch the engagement flow through. And that's how you learn what people want, what people need. And one great thing that you can do is as people post and you start to see that people have very strong feelings one way or the other on your question, you're going to be able to see what else those people who seem to be in your target audience are asking. So you can search for their name in the group and see what questions they have brought up in the group or what comments they've made in the group. So you actually get to really learn where your target audience is at a micro level, and that is invaluable market research. So where you get that is by joining my mailing list. So this is specifically a bonus for people who sign on to my mailing list. So to get it, go to inacoveney.com/CT6 and click on the button that says, get me my freebie. And in the form, it will say, you are signing up for updates and here is a bonus for you. So I really hope that that helps you. But to give you an idea of a good post, so what I did was I created an image. I created it on Canva. Canva is not paying me for this advertisement. Canva is a tool that you can use to create really cool looking images for Instagram or Facebook, social media. And so I took a Canva image of a mountain, a beautiful snow peak mountain, and I wrote entrepreneur number 1 is a bootstrapper, and entrepreneur number 1 is a fast learner, and they love to get all of the free knowledge they can and do something themselves. And then you have entrepreneur number 2. In the same image, I wrote entrepreneur number 2 is someone who likes to outsource, somebody who stays in their zone of genius. They know what they're good at and what they're not, and they outsource everything else. So I wanted to know where my audience was. So I posted that and I said, click like if you are entrepreneur number 1 and click on heart if you're entrepreneur number 2. This is a completely encouraged and perfectly fine post to make on somebody else's wall because it is something that is enticing engagement and is enticing conversation. I never said I was selling a course. I never said why I was asking this. I just wanted to know where people fell so that I can go and see what else people are asking based on that. So that is one way to do it. It does have to be enticing, it does have to be beautiful, it does have to be something that catches people's eye. Another thing that you can do on these Facebook groups is to search for keywords. So if I wanted to know what people were looking for in terms of WordPress, what are people saying about WordPress, what are people's questions, I would just search for WordPress in that group and see what questions people have and then see what responses they get. This gives me a lot of information about objections to my product, about what people liked about similar products. So this is hugely valuable, especially with 90,000 members in a group. I am bound to find something useful in there. So that's how we wrap up the Facebook group market research section. I really hope that was helpful to you because once I realized that you could do this, it blew my mind. I mean, it's a great way to get information if you don't have an audience yet. And the last thing that I wanted to share with you is that another way to do this is to go on Amazon and go find books about your topic and then read the reviews. Especially if it's popular books, they will have a lot of reviews. People will say pros and cons. People will give them 1 star or 5 stars. So you find the topic that you teach or that you want to help people with, and then you get to see, okay, what is it that they liked about the approach? What is it that they did not like about it? Great market research. So in my case, I will probably be looking for a book that teaches you WordPress. So I would look in and see, okay, what are people saying about this? What did they like? What did they not like? Would they have rather do something else? So then I can see what the gap is between something that is already out there and something that I can provide and provide that to my audience. So that is basically all I had for you today. So remember about my offer for writing the iTunes review. All you have to do is borrow somebody's phone if you don't have an iPhone. But if you do have an iPhone, go to the podcast, give me a review, and then come to the Corporate Trailblazers Facebook group, all right? The podcast Facebook group, and post it there. Tell me, I wrote your review and here you go. And immediately you will get a personal message from me with the promo code for my course, which means that as long as the cart is open, you will always get the early bird price. And that is open and that is valid indefinitely. So if the cart closes in the next few days, all you have to do is wait for me to relaunch the course, and as soon as the cart opens, your promo code will still be good. So if you do end up doing that, I will be super happy, because I just started this podcast, and in order to get traction and to get more people to see it, the reviews are very, very important. If I don't get any reviews, I don't get more hits, and more people won't be able to find the show. So you're really helping others by doing this. And also remember to get that freebie that you get when you sign on to my mailing list, which is the 20 conversation starters that you can use right now to go on these Facebook groups and start to draw your target audience in a way that they're coming to you. You're not going out and seeking them out. Super, super good, super, super helpful. So this is going to be a weekly podcast, and I want you to know that next week, episode 7, I am going to cover how you do your first launch, everything that I learned through my first launch, and everything that you should know if you're planning on launching anytime soon, or any kind of product you have, or even if you're planning on relaunching a course that you already have. I'll tell you everything that goes into it and everything you should keep in mind. All right, I will see you then. Stay tuned for episode 7 next week. All right, goodbye world. I will see you next time.